Hey, problem solvers! Welcome to Social Studies. We are going to continue our discussions about diversity following what we talked about the other day when we looked at pictures from children from all over the world. And if you remember, we celebrated what made us different, and we also celebrated and recognized what we had in common. I loved that activity. I feel like before we continue this discussion about diversity, we really should look at three important words that can easily kind of get confused. Those three words are ethnicity, culture, and race. Now, just like we do in literacy, take a moment to think about what you already know about these three words, and then we're going to look at them together one at a time. Let's start over here. What is race? It's a word that we hear a lot lately. And to break it down to a really simple definition, we can say that race is simply what you look like on the outside. Now, what exactly does that mean, right? Let's take a look. We can break it down to things like skin color. For example, black, brown, even light brown. What other skin colors are there? Help me. Peach, tan, fair, or pale, things like that. Make this pretty. So we've got skin color. What else? What else determines a person's race? Let's find out. The next one we can say, what's going on here? Boop. All right, the next thing we can say is, as soon as my notes get pulled up again, hair texture. So some people's hair is straight, some people curly, some people wavy. What else? What are some other adjectives that we can use to describe hair? Thick, thin, soft, coarse. All of these different kinds of hair texture can help people identify their race. Beautiful. All right, and one more thing before we move on to the other words. I'm going insane. There we go. One more thing that we can do before looking at the other words is our facial features. Everyone's facial features are different, right? So we can look at things like eyebrows, the shape of the lips, the color shape of the eyes. There's a lot more that we can add onto the list. If you guys think of any more that I didn't list here, please let me know when we get together on Zoom, and I would love to add to this chart. That's a very simplified idea of what race is. Now let's move on to culture, because cultures is very different. How can we define culture? We can, again, very simple definition. It's the way people live. So that might include things like holidays. Come on. Or food that you eat, which is exactly what we talked about yesterday, right? What else? Languages that we speak. Special things that your family does. Let's see. The clothing that you wear. Traditions that you follow. Celebrations that you take part in. All of these things contribute all of these things contribute to your culture. Now, it's important with culture to remember that everyone is a part of multiple like layers of culture. Does that make sense? For example, if I were to look at myself, I could say that I am definitely a part of American culture. I do things like eat hot dogs and hamburgers and celebrate the 4th of July, and wear American clothing brands and celebrate Thanksgiving. All of these things tell me that I celebrate or I am a part of the American culture. I can also say that I know a lot about small town culture because that's where I grew up. So I know how people in small towns live. I can also say that I know a lot about New York City culture because that is where I live now. We can even go smaller and think about the culture of Epic Academy because Epic Academy has its own culture itself, our own traditions and celebrations and special things that we do. We can even go smaller and say that within that culture, we celebrate the culture of the problem solver class. So there's not just one cultural group that people are part of. You can be part of multiple cultural groups, which I find fascinating. Let's take a quick look at the last one here. Ethnicity. Oops. Just trying to pull up my notes. Okay, so ethnicity. How can we give a simple definition of the word ethnicity? It actually is going to tie back to what we just talked about. Ethnicity is cultural connections you have with a group. Does that make sense? So, what does that mean? Cultural connections that we have with a group. How is that different than culture? Again, these words are very easy to get confused, which is why we're going over them. So, for example, when looking at ethnicity, you can look at, there we go, the country you were born in. What else? Try to think. How about the language you speak that connects you to other people who also speak that language? Oh my gosh. What is my keyboard doing? There we go. Language. What else? How about your religion? There's a cultural connection you have with a group of people who also celebrate your religion. And then your nationality. So are you Brazilian, Caribbean, Filipino, American, French? All of those things connect you to other people who share that same ethnicity. So now that we've talked a little bit more about what these three words mean, let me tell you guys what I would like you to do when we come together on Zoom. We are going to think about our own ethnicity, our own culture, and our own race, and we're going to do a little writing about each. I know that you guys are master paragraph writers at this point. So, what I would love for you to do is open up a shared Google Doc, and I would like you to write one paragraph about ethnicity, one paragraph about your culture, and one paragraph about your race. I will project this up so that if you guys need a reminder of what kind of details you can include in your paragraph, you can say, oh man, all right, I'm writing my paragraph about culture. What should I write about? Oh, I can write about the holidays I celebrate. Oh, cool, I can write about the languages I speak. Oh, good, I can write about the clothing, and so on and so forth. Um, if this assignment seems overwhelming, please remember that all I am looking for is your very, very best. So as long as you try, as long as you spend the entire period working and putting in effort, I will be happy. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I will see you on Zoom very shortly.